should have allowed him to post bail, which is exactly what they are going to try and do.
Right, and he has brought in new lawyers to try and get this done. We'll get to the lawyers in a second. I just don't know how has the argument changed?
For the past several years, Agnifilo has been lead counsel for the Agnifilo Intrator law firm. That leads us to Agnifilo's notable cases, beginning with the federal trial of NXIVM cult leader Keith Raniere.
25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
And I'm going to do everything that I can to move his case as quickly as possible. I understand that the government has a great amount of electronic devices that they have to download and provide to me.
So since September 5th, you had known, you expected it was likely he was going to formally face charges.
So I really knew he was formally going to face charges on March 25th, the day of the searches, when Homeland Security searched his Los Angeles home, his Miami home, and his airplane. I knew that day by looking at the search warrants. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. This is not my first or 100th rodeo.
Imagine watching a slow-motion car crash. That's the vibe around P. Diddy right now. His empire, it's wobbling like it's made of jelly with fresh scandals, landing almost daily like rapid-fire beats in a rap battle. Every new day brings another EXP explosive twist, and the FEDs are circling, sensing trouble. Diddy's lawyer, rumor has it, he's ready to throw in the towel after who knows how many stress-filled days. And just like that, the one steadfast offender has stepped away, leaving everyone wondering what's next. Join us as we dig into this dramatic legal showdown, unpacking each shock and revelation as they unfold. And he received a bachelor's.
About Agnifilo's history. He received a bachelor's degree in philosophy and political science from Connecticut College in 1986. In 1990, he received his Juris degree from Brooklyn Law School, and while there, even received the American Jurisprudence Award for Outstanding Performance in Trial Advocacy.
So I would imagine if you were the CIA, you're like, okay, we're looking for people who have gone through these things in their life that have curated this kind of like personality type.
Well, isn't it just like part of the gig?
He's ready. He's focused. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective. I obviously would much prefer to fight this case with him out of jail, and we are going to try to bring that about through additional legal process. The prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. You know, this video that we've all seen, and it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship that was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so.
I mean, I hit rock bottom. I make no excuses. My behavior in that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video.
With lawsuits and accusations piling up against Diddy, his legal team is sticking to their stance, claiming he's innocent and calling the allegations nothing more than cash grabs. In his first pretrial hearing, Diddy pleaded not guilty.
He's innocent. I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I don't think it was 1,000. Let's just say it's a lot. Okay.
What prosecutors were arguing is not only does your client pose a flight risk, because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago, they were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them. And so I guess the question is, how do you assure the court that that won't happen if prosecutors are saying, this is someone who's attempted to bribe security staff and has already threatened and interfered with witnesses?
So I think the most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is, but he wants to surrender. He's here to surrender.
After Judge Robin Tarnowski denied his bail, he took a slow sip of water, looked back at his family, and was led out of the courtroom. His lawyer, Marc Agnifilo, firmly stated Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent. Agnifilo also plans to challenge the judge's bail decision.
The freak-off sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
But everything's on the government's timetable, nothing's on the defendant's timetable, and they're going to have to accommodate me and him and give us a quick trial, and I'm going to be pushing for that.
Agnifilo acknowledged Diddy's imperfections, admitting his past struggles with substance use and toxic relationships, but noted he's now in therapy and receiving treatment. The lawyer argued that the case stemmed from a long-term mutual relationship that soured due to infidelity, indirectly pointing to Diddy's decade-long relationship with Cassie Ventura.
So in Cassie's lawsuit, where she talked about these freak-off parties that he would have at hotels she said, in Atlanta, Miami, LA, and New York.
And they were essentially orgies. But the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, who filed this, laid this out at a press conference and specifically addressed the freak-off.
As for the controversial freak-offs, Agnifilo insisted they were consensual. Is it exploitation? Not if everyone wants to be there, he argued, suggesting that the authorities were crossing a line into Diddy's personal life ago. Also dismissed the firearms allegations, explaining that they belong to a hired security team. Not to did both Diddy and his legal team have rejected similar claims in recent lawsuits.
First of all, what was your reaction to this newest and latest allegation of more than 100 additional victims?
Hi, Nicole. Nice to be with you. You know, it's the proverbial snowball coming down the hill. You know, when you've been living a lifestyle, not just one or two incidences, but a lifestyle which Diddy seems to have led, there's a lot of people, a lot of activity out there. And to be honest, I don't think it's over. I don't think we're at the precipice yet. We're going to see these new claims come out in different states, different jurisdictions. The additional ones will follow. And people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon. And the indictment and the initial civil lawsuits gave a lot of these victims the courage to come forward, which is probably why they didn't come forward before. And now we're seeing it.
Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recording he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
Diddy's legal woes the charges seen Combs. The charges, whether you know him as Puff Daddy P. Diddy or just Diddy, is in the middle of a serious legal storm. This isn't a minor hiccup. The feds are bringing major charges against him, the kind that could mean swapping luxury for a prison cell. The first charge, racketeering conspiracy. Basically, the government is saying he's been running his music business more like a criminal gang than a record label. It's as if they're suggesting he's turned Bad Boy Entertainment into a hip-hop version of the mafia.
This is the type of indictment you would expect from someone in the mafia.
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. He is very eager to tell his story.
An appeals court says the judge was wrong. The judge should have allowed him to post bail, which is exactly what they are going to try and do.
Right, and he has brought in new lawyers to try and get this done.
And if we think about how RICO was created in New York to take down mafia bosses, mob bosses. And that's what Mr. Combs is. He's a mafia boss. He's a New York mafioso boss. And the RICO law was created to take down people like him.
But it doesn't stop there. He's also facing accusations of exploitation with claims that he's allegedly used his influence to push people into adult work. Just hearing about it feels unsettling. And on top of that, there's a charge for transporting people for exploitation. In other words, they're alleging he's been shuttling people around as part of this alleged operation. Imagine an illegal Uber service, only far worse, the freak-off parties. Then we have what the feds' freak-off parties are calling the freak-offs. No, it's not a new dance trend. These were allegedly wild parties Diddy hosted, supposedly filled with narcotics, music, and questionable acts. Picture a lavish mansion filled with music, beautiful guests, drinks, and dancing. It sounds like any other celebrity party at first, but according to the feds, these gatherings took a dark turn. They claimed Diddy orchestrated these events with disturbing control, even reportedly keeping keeping guests intoxicated so they'd follow his orders. Think The Wolf of Wall Street meets hip-hop, only with far more sinister undertones. These parties supposedly went on for days at a time. Imagine, while most people would be recovering from one night out, these guests were allegedly in the midst of a non-stop substance-fueled marathon. It makes you wonder if anyone ever paused to say maybe this should end. The evidence uncovered when police raided Diddy's luxurious homes in Miami and La. They found a bizarre collection of items that sounded straight out of a twisted supply list. Among the discoveries were 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube, enough for the world's slipperiest party, to say the least.
Can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything. I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. He has a big house. He buys in bulk. I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in a parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of?
But things got stranger alongside the oil stash. They found IV fluids, actual medical-grade supplies. Apparently, these parties were so wild that people needed IV drips to bounce back afterward. Almost like they were getting ready for a marathon, just not the running kind. Now that's one extreme hangover cure.
Lawyer for those alleged victims. We heard from him in that first soundbite, holding that press conference, but not yet actually filing the lawsuit. When do you think that could happen, and what is the strategy there?
So here's the strategy. He's letting it known that he's going to be filing these lawsuits, and they're going after different defendants, not just Diddy. They're going to go after potentially celebrities, high-level executives, venue owners, things like that may have been involved. So what they're going to do is they're going to announce the lawsuits that are coming, most likely file them under a Jane Doe for the plaintiffs. And they're not going to name any of these other defendants, but they're going to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, we're going forward. We can try to work out a deal now. We can try to settle the claims. If we do, nobody will ever know your name. It'll be under confidentiality, and that'll be it. If not, here's the lawsuit. We're going to put you right into the middle of it. You're going to be outed. You're going to be part of the Diddy criminal scandal. And that's going to trigger a lot of settlements. So it's tactical.
Diddy behind bars. Since September 16th, Diddy's been in a Diddy behind bars Brooklyn jail, loudly proclaiming his innocence. However, the judge isn't convinced, denying him bail, even at a whopping $50 million. When that kind of money won't set you free, it's clear the charges are serious. If convicted, Diddy could be facing a life sentence. Going from music icon to potentially serving time is a huge fall, one that's left the music world in shock.
Not giving up on trying to get out of jail. You know that he has been turned down twice to get out on bail, and he is being held in Brooklyn and will be there until the trial begins, unless he appeals and an appeals court says the judge was.
This isn't just about a wild party or a few bad decisions. The larger story: authorities allege that Diddy's been living this way since 2008. A decade plus of hidden activities behind the glamorous life of a superstar. The accusations suggest he used his fame and wealth to intimidate people into silence with threats and alleged harmful behavior aimed at protecting his reputation. It's like a real-life crime thriller, but with hit records instead of dimly lit restaurants. This case is pulling back the curtain on some of the darker corners of the entertainment world, raising tough questions about power, influence, and what really goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood and the music industry. Diddy's last hope. Meet Marc Agnifilo. Let's talk about the man tasked with keeping Diddy out of jail, Marc Agnifilo.